Cleric build for Mod 16. Now I know with Mod 17 coming out in what 6 weeks for the PlayStation 4 that it may be a bit moot because they are doing some changes. They're increasing the cost for Divinity, adjusting how much we heal for, things like that. So there will be some more tweaking and adjusting, and hopefully we get it all worked out in due order. I know they're still having some issues with the new 10-man dungeon. It's really mechanics heavy, but for now, this is what I run when I run Loam. I don't really have issues healing. The only fight in the entire dungeon that's been a problem, if you've watched my stream, is you'll see the boar worm can be brutal, especially if it gets too many charges. So let's jump right in here, and I'm going to start right at the beginning. So I'm a male moon elf. I got the pack forever ago, and it's not even available anymore, so at least not on the PlayStation 4 that I've seen. So here we go. We'll go right into stats. So for the healer, you want to focus on your wisdom. Wisdom is like your primary stat because it's outgoing healing. Now my wisdom's 27. There's gear involved in that and such. And then my charisma, because the companion influence, the higher your charisma, the more you're going to get back from your companion. So that's why my stats are just stacked into wisdom and charisma. And if you go down to wisdom right here, it says outgoing healing plus 6.8%. So I have almost 7% additional outgoing healing. Outgoing healing is huge for the clerics now. If you're going to be a healer, you need to have outgoing healing. Now, my power isn't great. It increases your damage and healing. I would love to... I'm still working on getting my power up, but right now I've been really focusing on just balance. Now, this is a tertiary alt. I have a tank that I'm going to do a stream about here shortly. And then my main is a ranger, which is, trickle down theory. Your alts get your weaker kind of stuff. But right now, this is where I'm at. 123k power. That's actually low. That should be about 130k. I must be missing something. Anyway, typically when I run dungeons, my power is 130k. My crit's 120k. That's pretty standard for me. Crit needs to be above the 68k cap here in this mod for healing. There's a mathematical formula that one of my guys likes to talk about all the time, and I can't remember it, but I know that you really need to push your crit up for your heals so that you can get the big crit heals. So that's what I've got right now. I got to push my power up, but where I'm at right now, I can heal Loam without issues. All right, so let's look at the powers. So typically in Loam, I run Bastion of Health, Divine Glow, and Healing Word. And if you watch my stream, I'm terrible about remembering to keep Divine Glow up. And if you don't keep Divine Glow up, it's going to affect your divinity because... Where is it? Let me... Alright, that's the... It's one of the feats. I know it is. Alright, grants Divine Glow indexation. Alright. Most attacks, that's somewhere in here. Alright, anyway. I'll get to it in a minute. Alright, so Divine Glow for the Devout healer actually increases your divinity regen. Oh yeah, it's right there in front of us. Added effect, divinity regeneration, duration of 12 seconds. The cooldown's kind of sucky, but the divinity regen is huge for the healer. Now, Healing Word is great. It's just a slow cast. It'll hit. It has a pretty good radius. It'll hit everybody within reason, and it works phenomenally, but it's just slow, and that's the part that sucks about it. Now, Bastion of Health, it's much quicker, half the cast time, but your party has got to be grouped together. So if you got some ranged DPS that likes to be way out there, they're a pain. They're going to die. DPS, if you're ranged, you need to be close to your cleric so you can get your heals. Just keep that in mind, all right? And now, if you've run this dungeon, if you run Loam, when you do the mimics, I drop Healing Word in favor of Intercession. Now, Intercession is this huge heal. It's got a slow cooldown, but it will basically completely heal whoever's cocooned one cast, with the exception of some tanks. Tanks that are pushing 600k hit points, it gets a little bit difficult. My tank's like right around 450k, which is solid. I have no issues tanking, no issues running, and I'll talk about that in my tank stream. But anyway, Intercession for the Mimics, it's huge. Now, I run both of the Angel Dailies. Guardian of Faith for the radiant damage is a single target, nice strike. I use that for the Mimics. It helps out. I actually save my daily sometimes just for that, because if you have a light DPS or a soft hit in DPS and you need to get the Mimics down, the tank and the Cleric have to step up and cover their corner. And then I really like the Guardian of Life Angel, because with the feats I've picked, it hangs around for a little bit afterwards and continues healing. Heal over time, hangs out, keeps healing. It's awesome. Alright, so feats. Expanded Faith, just pushing that divinity just a little bit higher. And then Hallowed Guide. Increase your healing by 5% when the target was within 15 feet. I try to stay close to my group. As a healing DC, I don't try to do this ranged heal thing because it can be bad. And that additional 5%, that's big. Alright, now let's get into the feats. Alright, whenever you heal an ally affected by Healing Word, again, remember Healing Word, with an encounter or daily power, the effective Healing Word is extended by 6 seconds. So that heal over time for Healing Word gets extended. Alright, Battle Prayer. Encounter prayers which cost divinity now grant Battle Prayer, increasing the amount of divinity restored by channel divinity. So you got to hit that R1, you got to channel your divinity. If you've used your encounter powers for 6 seconds, you can channel divinity and get more divinity restored. Alright. Blessed Armaments grants Divine Glow at Exaltation the effect of decreasing your damage taken by 10% and dealing additional radiant damage after most attacks. So it's a buff as far as buffs go with these new changes. You're going to take less damage and you're going to do additional radiant damage after most of your attacks. Persistent Guardian, after using Guardian of Faith or Guardian of Life, those two angels up here, right? Guardian of Faith, Guardian of Life, they're awesome. The Guardian remains and heals wounded party members for 500 magnitude every few seconds. The Guardian persists until it casts its heal 5 times or 45 seconds, so it elapsed. So that gives you like a backup healer in some of your fights, and sometimes you need that, especially on that boar worm when you're dealing with the robots. The robots suck. And then last, we have Angel of Life. Now, neither of these dailies is phenomenal. Alright, so Light of Devotion every 4 seconds while you're channeling divinity, you gain Light of Devotion, increasing your outgoing healing. Most of the time, if you're channeling divinity, if you haven't managed your divinity right, if you manage your divinity right, you're channeling divinity like after the fight. If you haven't, or the fight goes bad, you're channeling here and there, trying to get heals, getting enough divinity to heal. Yeah. Alright, and then Angel of Life. Now, this is like Angel of Death. It takes 30 freaking stacks for it to go into effect. And then half the time, you have to like channel divinity like 4 or 5 times before it'll finally pop, and it only lasts 12 seconds. Now when it's up, it's great because you can cast your heals divinity free. The problem is it takes so long to build. Very rarely do you get it, and when you do get it, 90% of the times it's after the fight. Alright, now let's get to boons really quick. So I was running stuff, so movement. Alright, hit points, critical strike, power. Movement speed, because I hate being slow. Hit points, power. Nice. Increases your companion influence. Remember, companion influence increases the stats you get from your companions. It's always a must-have. I don't know a single build that I've used that doesn't have this in it. All right, again, hit points, combat advantage, power. Combat advantage, I don't think you can ever have enough of that either. My opinion, not every build is the same, all right? And then, again, hit points, power. Now, for your Tier 5, you go with Blessed Touch. Increase your outgoing healing by 1% per rank. So 4 ranks, 4% outgoing healing. And then you recover, quick turnaround, recovery speed. Now, I know some people like to go with Call of Power because of the AP gain, gets your daily up. I like recovery on all my stuff, so I'm going with, quick turnaround. And I have had no issues with it. All right, now for your Master Boon. Blessed Advantage. Chance when you heal for at least 10% of the target's health, the following effects will be applied to the target. Applies a heal over a time effect, increases their power by 500 per rank, and reduces the recharge of abilities by 2% per rank. So you're giving them a cooldown speed up, increasing their power, and giving a heal over time. Most of the time your heals are going to hit for more than 10% of the target's health. Even if it takes the target over full health, you're still hitting for more than 10%. Now, companions. A lot of times I don't have all of my outgoing healing companions slotted. If I'm in Loam, I do, but I like having that's where my power is missing. That's why I'm not at 30,000 power, because a lot of times I will have a couple of these switched around. I will have my Deep Crow Hatchling for the 8,000 power in here, and that's where my missing power is. But right now, I've got all my outgoing healing things slotted, and you can see that they're not all maxed. My Polar Bear is the only legendary healing companion I have. 13.5% bolster, so I got 10% outgoing healing, 2,000 defense. The Sellsword Distinct Discipline. Now, this one's a tricky one if you don't know which companion it is. Now, let's go to Manage All Companions, and I will show you which companion it is. It is this one right here, the Rebel Mercenary. All right. Now the Rebel Mercenary is the mercenary that gives you the outgoing healing. Not everybody knows it. I didn't know this. I actually had seen somebody with this on their character sheet, and I was like, "What the heck is that?" And there it goes. All right. So Rebel Mercenary. Ion Stone of Might, I believe. Neverwinter Guard. Baby Polar Bear, everybody knows which one it is. And the Quickling. The Quickling is awesome, but it's so hard to find. Now, this is why the Quickling is awesome. It goes up to the 10% outgoing healing, but it has Critical Strike on it. All of these other ones, Awareness, Deflect, Defense, and, well, actually it's offensive, but for the majority, they're defensive oriented stats. So something that's going to boost your critical when you need the higher crit for your for your heals, it's kind of hard to pass up. So there you go. I'm running right now. Let me scroll down here. 44.5% outgoing healing. I've been doing Loam since I was around 32% outgoing healing. It gets a little tricky in some places. Again, Intercession is huge, but it's definitely doable if you have the right rotation, you have the right powers, and you know you're paying attention to what's going on. Having a good group, a tank that's going to back you up, all that stuff helps. I've got some Quartermasters in, so my companion influence is a little lower than it normally is, but there you go. Hood of the Spies Guild, the Glistening Scales. I do like the Glistening Scales. I don't change anything on my armor at this time between offense and defense, with the exception of my rings. Now, the rings that I run are to boost my crit. I would really like to throw a couple Brutals in instead of these Azures, but I don't have them right now. I'm working on them, and that's just to have the power crit, both of them coming up higher. Again, powers for the strength of the heal, crits for your chance to crit your heal. Just trying to push that stuff as high as I can. Now, I have picked up a couple pieces from Loam. Again, the High Gloves of the Successor, and the Trimmed Gaiters of the Successor. Now, they're not ideal. I am planning on changing them out if I can get the stuff from Zoc, but for now, they're great. I do run the Staff of Flowers, the Enchanted Thumb set, as you can see right here in the description, for my healing build. For my DPS build, I do not run this. I keep the flowers, but I don't run the Wisdom belt and neck, simply because Wisdom is not the DPS stat for the Cleric. I am actually going to change it to the Envenom set for my DPS, and then I'll run the Envenom Blades and the Staff. Envenom Blades will be for single target, Staff will be for AoE. Again, I haven't really, Tertiary, I haven't changed a lot with my stats right now in gear. Well, I'm just lacking on the RP. I've got everything else, but lacking the RP. Anyway, if you have questions, comments, go ahead, post them. Let me know what you think. If I'm missing something and you know it, I'd appreciate the heads up. Again, thanks for watching, and that's it for my stream today. Well, at least for my healer. Thanks a lot. I always seem to do that. Alright, guys. Stopping my broadcast. Have a good one.